The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting of August 11th, 2025. We will bring this meeting to order. Presentations up, none. Can we have a motion to adopt the agendas of July? First one up would be the regular meeting held on July 14th. Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Mouse. Questions, comments? All in favor? And again, we'll need a motion to accept the minutes of the special council meeting held on July 18th, 2025. Councillor Weleser, Councillor Elliott, second. Questions, comments? Councillor Johnson?
I think the vote count was questionable at that meeting. I didn't see your name, Mayor Simic, as being listed on that vote count.
No, that's been changed.
So
that's been adjusted.
It's been adjusted?
It's been corrected.
Okay, sounds like it's been adjusted, so I was on there. I was in favor, so. Okay, any more questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Original communications, delegations, and petitions. The Estevan Bears request facility rental be waived for the 2026 TELUS Cup bid. We are joined today by Robert and Blake on behalf of the Estevan Bears, and we are looking to waive $11,541, and in return we'll get all sorts of name recognitions, and the funds will go to St. Joseph's MRI, United Way, and then upgrades to the Bear dressing room. The floor is yours to let us know what's going on.
Perfect, thank you. Just to introduce ourselves, my name is Robert Godfrey, and I'm joined with Blake Jameson, and we're representing the committee that's putting a bid in for the 2026 Western Regional Championship, and that, if it goes ahead, will happen in April of next year. So we're working on this bid right now, and it is due in at the end of the month here, and so kind of the place that we're at right now is working on the logistics of putting it together, and one of the pieces of that is the financial side, and that's why we're here today, is to talk to you guys about donating or covering that $11,541 cost to rent Affinity Place, the multi-purpose room, use the Power Dodge Curling Center as a banquet facility, and a few other supplies like pipe and drape, the Jumbotron, things like that. There's a couple of reasons that we're bringing this proposal forward. One of them is to really guarantee the success of this tournament, but the other part of that is also to reduce some of the burden on the local businesses. Obviously, part of this event will be canvassing for some sponsorship dollars from the community, but if we don't have to cover this cost for the facility, that will make a big difference in what we're asking for from the community. And the other part of this is this event could serve as a really important fundraiser for our community. So as you mentioned, our legacy fund that we'll have, it covers the any surplus money that we have. We'll be donating 70% of that to the St. Joseph's Hospital Foundation, earmarked towards their MRI project, and then 20% we donate to United Way Estevan, that would go towards their 2026 telethon, and then the remaining 10% would go towards upgrades to the Estevan Bears dressing room, and this would be something that would be great both for our team but also to other minor hockey teams that we'd be able to let use that space. And so really some great positives that are going to come out of this. But on top of that, there's also the economic impact of this event. As we've seen, Estevan has done an amazing job hosting really large-scale sporting tournaments and championships, and this is really going to be no different. So this event is going to bring people into our community from teams, their families, fans, and officials. It's going to bring a number of people to our community for that weekend and really boost the business at local hotels, restaurants, and stores. But on top of that, it is another great thing in our city's resume for how amazing we are at putting on these first-class events. So as was mentioned in our letter, with this, we'd like to offer, with this ask, we'd like to offer to the City of Estevan a sponsorship package in exchange for this. So this would include name mentions at all of our Estevan Bears home games, as well as at the tournament if we're awarded it. Individual sponsor banner for the City of Estevan or any of the brands you'd like to include on there, that again would be at the home games and at the tournament. And then sponsorship acknowledgement on our social media channels and on our website as well. Now, if we aren't awarded this tournament, just as a thank you to the City of Estevan for your continued support, we would continue with the sponsorship assets throughout our regular season regardless, because we certainly are appreciative if we can move forward with this. But that's about all that we have. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But otherwise, thank you all so much. Thank you for your support to this point as well, because we have received a letter from the city endorsing this bid as well, and we're appreciative of that as well. So thank you.
Excellent, thanks for that. Do we have any questions for the Bears organization? Do we have a request from council or a motion to accept? Councillor Mouse?
Yeah, I have a question. How does this, what kind of a precedent do we set if we do that? Is this going to affect other tournaments possibly coming here, things like that? Do we set a precedent? Is this going to be a problem for us in the future?
Yeah, it seems to in the past that bids like this, or the fees are usually waived, have been in the past, but again, that's up to this present council to decide. Councillor Verba?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I was going to say, in the past, we have supported organizations like the AAA team with the Bears. I think it's a good ask because it's not a cash donation where we're having to actually move it to the next budget because it's not in our budget this year. Yeah, so I would make the motion that we proceed and give you your ask of a sponsorship package. And I like that. I mean, I hope you get the tournament, but if you don't, we're still going to get the sponsorship package, so it's maybe a win-win for the city.
Excellent. Do we have a seconder to this motion? Councillor Johnson? Second. Last chance for questions, comments. Councillor Elliott?
Well, somebody's got to be the Scrooge in the room, so in my mind, we're already heavily subsidizing the hockey community, and I don't anticipate us ever wanting to charge them more for the services that they get. But this is very labor intensive for the city with pipe drape, any setup or tear down that's required, cleaning afterwards, and so I would say maybe discount, but I wouldn't say a full-on freebie. That would be my mindset.
Except my motion's already on the floor, so.
You betcha. You betcha. Any more questions, comments? So, no more questions, comments out there. All in favor? 6-4, and Elliott opposed. Moving along, GFL cart report. Thanks for that. Thanks for coming in, the Bears organization. We hope you're successful on your bid and can't wait for the upcoming season for sure.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Up next, we have the GFL cart report for June 2025. Do we have a motion to accept this? Councillor Mouse, seconded by Councillor Dabowski. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Up next, we have Sector 1, Mr. Justin Nixon. Come on up to the microphone there, and you're going to give us an overview of the proposed project for Wellick Road. The floor is yours.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Justin Nixon. I'm one of the owners at Sector 1 Construction, Sector 1 Management, First General Services, Estevan, and our development arm of the company, Verity Developments. We wanted to start by recapping our proposed request for zoning change from R1 to R4, following a public open house we held and the publication of some of those questions, comments, and responses on social media. There are 118 acres north of Wellick Road that have a development plan in place. This was designed and completed thus far by Essex Developments out of Edmonton. Currently, the only lots that are serviced are the 25 lots starting at Sisterati Road, moving east along Wellick Road. we are proposing the zoning change to allow for the construction of 2-story, 12-plex buildings that will serve the community as higher-end rentals. With all the information we have gathered and made public over the last couple of weeks, we wanted to take this opportunity to focus on the economic benefits to the city of Estevan. First, though, who is Verity Developments? Verity Developments is a division of Sector 1 Management. Sector 1 in its entirety employs 60 employees and subcontractors that are local to Estevan and area. We've been in business for 13 years. Our leadership team, our construction leadership team, has a combined over 150 years of experience in the construction field. We have partnered with Essex Developments, a prominent Edmonton-based land developer with projects in Western and Central Canada, who will act as our development consultant and partner. For this development, we will be utilizing SRI Homes, a local modular structure manufacturer, as we've been working closely with them for many years. They've been a staple business in our community since 1978, have built tens of thousands of homes in our area and across Canada. Currently, SRI employs approximately 85 local employees. The local economic benefit for phase 1 of this project provides employment for approximately 160 local employees, will provide between $5.1 million and $5.5 million in local wages for local families. It will also provide an estimated additional tax revenue of $700,000 annually to the city of Estevan based on the full value of construction. It will also provide an additional 84 housing units to help increase our population base while reducing the stress on vacancies. A significant question was raised regarding parking along Wellick Road. We have relocated, with that in mind, we have relocated the buildings closer to Wellick and providing all parking in the back. It was also mentioned during our open house that the residents in the center units would look to park on Wellick, as it would be a long walk from the parking lot in the back to the front. We agreed. We agree with that. And we are looking into adjusting that layout to have all entrances in the back of the building, encouraging everyone to park in the back. The most consistent comment we've received from the public was that people want and need single-family homes. Again, we agree. We've had this same feedback from realtors, private citizens for the last several months. Our vision for single-family homes in the area is only viable for our company after we complete phase 1 with Essex and work with the city to service the rest of the development area. The cost difference between new construction, whether it's RTMs or built on site, is too significant compared to the current market of existing inventory. Financially, the numbers do not work at this time on these properties, which is why these lots have remained vacant for so long. Phase 2 includes 120 single-family home lots, as well as some mixed-use commercial and residential. There's a need for services in that Pleasantdale area. We'll attract small businesses in the retail, services, and food industries for phase 2 to service the surrounding neighborhoods. We believe we have done our due diligence and have put forth our best plan to start this development to meet the needs of the city and to keep the appearance and quality of construction in the same spirit as the surrounding neighborhood. The economic impact and future taxation of any developments help the city by paving roads, building infrastructure, and constructing hockey rinks and other services, all of which benefit everyone in the city, not just the surrounding neighborhood. The original plan for the development is no longer viable, leaving the city with the choice: is Estevan open for growth, new ideas, and open for business, or not, sticking to the original plan? Your votes here will answer that questions.
Excellent, thank you for that. Do we have any questions or comments for Justin? Councilor Verba?
Hi, Justin. Thanks for your presentation. So something I keep hearing too is the higher end rental. So when I'm talking to people though, they're talking about higher end rental comes with a garage. There's no garages here. Right now what they deal with is that wind pushes right now on Wellick Road. They gotta have a big snow fence up and stop all that snow from coming in. They've got to have the street cleaning crews go out and get Wellick cleared off because it blows in. It blows into Hawke's Bay, creates these great big snow drifts. So have you guys thought about that when you're putting all the parking in the back and now you've got a parking lot that's gonna fill in with snow, probably overtaking some of those cars in some of our storms?
We have thought about that. We did look at those numbers in that. There's a few issues with that area due to the water table as well, and the increased cost to add that underground parking or parking garage. Well, let's start with our underground parking would increase the cost significant enough that it would basically not make this as financially viable. As well as it would push the height up a little bit more, just due to the way we have to run our foundations, making it a little bit more challenging to have barrier-free units and whatnot. The other options would be if it was, say, detached garages. The issue with that is it then also lowers our parking availability, which again, we're trying to really put all that parking in that back area to keep that stress of parking on Wellick Road.
Right, but when we're saying higher end and we're saying we're gonna get $1,800 to $2,000 for a unit, people who are gonna pay that kind of money are gonna pay for that for a garage. And the other thing is air conditioning. Is this central air that's going into these units, or are these wall units, air conditioners, like how we have in some of the other apartments?
Each unit will be individually heated and cooled by a furnace. They'll be independent. So there'll be an actual air, like an actual furnace unit circulating air throughout it.
So they're gonna have central air, there's not gonna be any
Nope.
Outside air conditioners
Nope.
hooked up? Okay. So I think my other issue with this whole development is I haven't actually seen any concrete plans. I keep hearing, we could do this, we might do this, we can change this. But I think people would feel a lot more confident if you actually came back tonight, because I was expecting an official drawing with everything going in and a lot more detail.
I was gonna bring the floor plan, but as I mentioned, and because it was brought up at open house, we were working at basically rejigging the layout because the current layout puts 6 doors off of Wellick, 6 doors out the back. So we were working to relay that floor plan accordingly to adjust for that in and out, out of the back. And so we've been working with the engineers and architects to try to get that plan in place.
So what happens if we were to say rezone tonight and you can't rezone, you can't work that out in your drawing? So I guess that's where I'm sitting right now. I hear, like, again, I attended your open house, thank you for having it tonight, but I'm not hearing anything real different tonight than I heard the other night. And I still feel like there's a lot of the design concept, because the first initial lots that when I hear you and you say it's not viable, I can hear that, but then in the same breath, why don't we just put the high density units back where they were supposed to go anyways? Why are we trying to push them to the front? Why not skip phase 1, put your high density units in the back where they're supposed to go anyways, and then when you do have the time or the decision to make the single family homes, you put them on Wellick Road where they were supposed to be?
Well, we can't go any farther into the development until additional water, the sewer service trunk line comes in. We cannot proceed with the development until that comes in.
So, okay, maybe you can explain this to me, or somebody can, about the fact that this trunk line only goes as far as those 25 units then?
Thank you, Councilor Broba. So in the initial development, the first 25 lots are fully connected into our sanitary system. There is no additional sanitary run to the rear of those lots, and we are looking at funding and grants to get that sanitary trunk over there for the nursing home and for this additional phases of that development. The only lots that are serviced right now and tied in are those front 25.
So what concerns me, I guess, and I'm not a plumber, and maybe I'd like to hear a report on that too, instead of just hearing that, yes, we have 25 service lots, is we have 25 service lots, but now we're talking about putting 84 in, with a possible of 4 people per plate. So let's say we have 4 adults in each one. Now where's everybody parking? Because we're only putting parking in for 2. So they're gonna park like Saskatoon and Regina does it, where you got 2 on each side of the road. We now have a daycare in there. So my concern is you put 84 units, 168 people, possibly 330, and they're all using the sewer system. Are we going to affect the hospital? Like, I haven't actually seen any reports saying, we've done our due diligence, we know that we can handle this. I hear that we have serviced 25 lots. That's where my issue is. My issue is, and when I heard people say we're rushing it through, my initial response was, but we are listening. And so, yes, we're listening, but I don't think we're hearing. And I think that's what we need to listen is like, maybe we just need to do a few more reports and a few little bit more checking into some things and get some official designs done, make sure you can actually put the parking in the back, and then have you come back and do another report, another presentation, and show us what we can actually do versus what we're projecting to do. That's kind of where I'm sitting tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Broba. Councilor Waleser?
Thank you, Your Worship. In the same vein as Councillor Veroba's concerns, I think it would be helpful not only for Council but the gallery that's assembled tonight, just to hear from Richard what phase in the process we're in. I know in the document that's coming later tonight, Richard identifies what is part of a zoning process versus what information is contained within a development permit that comes later. If we can just talk through that timeline before we proceed with questions.
Right now, you're talking? We were going to bring Richard in right before the public hearing. That's not good.
I just want to ensure that the questions that are being directed to the developer are for the developer and not questions that maybe are better suited for city staff.
So what's your answer?
I'd like to hear from Richard first.
Okay.
And then have the ability to ask follow-up questions to the developer.
Richard, would you like to come up to the microphone?
I'm here.
Councilor Leeser?
Sorry, Richard, I'm just going to get down to your report.
Just so I know, you're talking report J.
Yes, so looking at the report presented by Richard, you had talked about what items are part of the process once the zoning itself has been determined. Can you just explain the difference in your view in land services, what a zoning request is versus when we're looking at that actual development permit that allows them to begin construction on site?
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Councillor Waleser. Zoning basically, at this point, is to answer one question. Is this land an appropriate parcel for the proposed development? Right? I've had numerous discussions with city engineering, and we're of the opinion that, yes, you could put structures like this on that property. I'm not overly concerned at this point. Definitely would love to have had the information up front that Councillor Veroba mentioned, but at this point we know the building area is constrained on the south by Wellick Road, it's constrained on the west by Sister Roddy, and on the north side there's constraints there as well because all the utility lines are buried in there. But going, like say for example from the furthest western lot going east along those 25, there's going to have to be a consolidation of some of those lots to make the building footprint. I feel more comfortable with this at this point because once the scaled plans come in and the traffic, an engineered traffic study comes in for this area, it may be 3 lots of the 25 is suitable for one of these buildings. It might be 3.5, it might be 2.5. We'll find out. But there is the room there to massage in order to make it fit. So with this, at this point, part of the rezoning is this an appropriate place for this kind of a building? And that's almost like a yes or no question. The aesthetics, definitely, I'll leave that up to council because everyone will have a different idea of what appeals to them. All right. With extra steps, if zoning were to be approved, the zoning change, most likely the next step would be the subdivision, which would be a combination of the lots. And as part of the subdivision process, that is where we would have to get into details. For example, the traffic. Is it sufficient to have all the traffic go through a rear laneway, or would there have to be, say, between the 2 buildings or every second building, an access into Wellick Road? So there's 2 different accesses. That's the kind of thing that the traffic engineer would address in partnership with the proponent here. Stormwater management. There is room on that property for a stormwater pond. Is one needed? Probably, is city engineer's answer to that. How big or anything, that would be determined at a later date. All we know now is if one is needed, the land is there for that under the previous subdivision. And so it goes on like that. So at the subdivision stage, if this advances to that point, the proper scale drawings, schematics would have to be received. Some kind of traffic flow report would be required. A stormwater drainage preliminary would have to be required. And that would all come in front of council again. And then council can have another kick at the cat. After subdivision would be development permit stage. There, at the development permit stage or at the subdivision stage, council would have to approve a servicing agreement for the proposal. And that would detail the responsibilities of the city and the developer for everything: traffic, water, sewer, drainage, parks, you name it. And then at the building permit stage, that is where we would deal with the actual buildings that would be constructed. The development permit stage, typically, if it's not included in the zoning, which it isn't at this point, at the development permit stage, we would get into things like architectural controls if they're proposed.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
It helps a bunch. Thanks for that, Richard. Thanks for that, Councilor Laser. Go ahead.
Thank you, Richard. I think that's really important as we're looking at the proposal as it stands, is that it is an idea, it's a concept, it's a working document that can evolve as the project moves forward, if it's decided that it moves forward. My opinion is that when we're looking at building strong, healthy, safe communities, I want people to live close to the hospital. I want people to live somewhere that they have access to good schools, to nice parks. They are close to major roadways to come and go from our community, and all of those assets are featured in the Meadows location, and I am in favor of proceeding with the process to the fullest extent, hearing from the community, continuing to work on that draft document together to make sure that everything has been considered in due course.
Thank you for that. Any other questions, comments out there for Justin or Richard? At this time, Councillor Verova?
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, I was just going to say, thank you, Richard, for really putting everything down here is how it's going to go. Because I believe when this first came, the discussion was shovels in the ground by the fall. So this is looking like there's a lot more questions to be answered. But then again, it goes back to, we say that we're listening to the people, and then the people are saying that they don't want it zoned for that because they still want. Most of the people that I spoke to when I was speaking to the people over in that area, some got a letter from the city, some did not, but they still came forward with letters. I'm sure, Richard, you've probably been speaking to them. Is when they built their homes, they were told there would be a row of single-family homes on that street, on Wellick Road. So now we're saying we're going to change that, and some of these people only built their homes in the last few years. So, and again, some of them are here today to speak, so we'll hear from them. But that's what, I guess, again, I 100% agree with what Councillor Walliser is saying, but again, what you said, this is a yes or no question. Because if we went ahead and proceeded today and say yes to rezone it, then I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse, because once we rezone it, then we just keep on, I guess, massaging it until we get the 7 12-plexes there. So.
Thank you for that. Anybody else? Questions, comments out there? Seeing none, we don't need a motion for this, do we?
You can accept Justin's report.
Okay, we can do a motion just to accept the project as presented from Sector 1. Justin? Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Verova, all in favor? Thanks for coming in tonight. Where are we at now? I lost my...
Southeast Transportation.
Southeast written reports of committees. Southeast Transportation Planning Committee minutes of June 24th. We have a motion to accept these. Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Up next, Estevan Public Library minutes of June 2025. Do we have a motion to accept these? Councillor Moe, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Sorry, DeBose. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Up next, the Upper Sewers Watershed Association meeting of minutes of July of 2025. We have a motion, Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor DeBose. Any questions, comments there? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Up next, executive reports. The tax assessor is on the bill tonight. We have 3 properties coming back. First up, we have 1132 5th Street. Sorry, I didn't keep up here. 1132 5th Street. We had 2 bids received, a high bid of $10,390. Recommendation would be to accept option 1, accept the offer of $10,390 as presented based on future revenue from property taxes. Do we have a motion to accept this? Councillor Verova, seconded by Councillor Mouse. Any questions, comments out there? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Up next is 1127 5th Street. We had 3 bids on this one, the high bid of $12,000. The recommendation would be option 1, to accept the offer of $12,000 as presented based on future revenue from property taxes. Do we have a motion to accept this one? Councillor Walliser, seconded by Councillor DeBose. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Up next, 1233 2nd Street. This one garnered a little more bids. I'm not sure exactly how many are on there, but we have a high bid of $86,500. Recommendation would be to accept this bid of $86,500. Do we have a motion to accept this one? Councillor Mouse, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Leisure Services Manager. Aaron is not able to be with us tonight. City Manager, can you speak on this quickly?
Thank you, Worship. So this is just to formalize the process that we have in place with the vendor, just the first right of refusal to the vendor before figuring out solutions to bring other food services into that building. So this is how we are currently operating, just wanting to formalize it in this policy.
Okay, I have a motion to accept this as presented. No? Do we have a question? Do we have a motion? Councillor Elliott, motion? Okay, seconded by Counselor. Questions, comments?
Thank you, Your Worship. City Manager, in looking at the appendix, it appears as though the first right of refusal is superseding the needs of the community. If the community had dietary restrictions or was looking for a specific cultural meal to be provided and the current vendor couldn't provide it, without his signature, those needs would go unmet and they would be required to source their food from him. Is that the correct reading?
Thank you, Councillor O'Leaser. So from my understanding in operation currently, if he is not unable to meet the requirements, then he would not be able to supersede that we couldn't bring any other food into the facility. But I will confirm that with Erin Wilson when she's back and get a report back to council.
Okay, Councillor O'Leaser.
As such, I would like to amend the policy as presented and the motion that stands on the floor to specify that when the vendor is unable to meet dietary or cultural restrictions, they will work with the city to find alternative arrangements.
Okay, who made that motion? Councillor Elliott, you're fine with the amendment? I am. Okay, sounds good. Any questions, comments out there? Councillor Verova?
So are we getting sticky with, like, say, somebody bringing in their own coffee? It says here, outside food or beverages are not permitted with the exception of bottled water or sports drinks for personal use. I know there's a lot of people that show up in the morning because they're not sure whether or not it's open or not. They're going to show up with a Tim Hortons coffee or McDonald's coffee. I got to make sure I get everybody in there. A Michael's coffee. So they're going to show up with a coffee of their choice. We're not stopping people, right? Because I know some ranks do that.
Thank you, Councillor Brewer. From my understanding, we are not stopping that at this point, but I will add that to the report from the Leisure Services Manager, just to clarify.
There's probably more to go along with Tim Hortons or whoever setting up a stand there. Right. Unannounced kind of thing, but anyways, we'll get the reports going there. All in favor? The amendment? Carried. Where are we? Water quality report for July 2025. Do we have a motion to accept this report? Councillor Dubowski, seconded by Councillor Verova. Councillor Mouse, you had an inquiry that was answered in here. Did you get to see that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Cernak. Yes, it was about PFAS, so the so-called, what are they called now, chemicals, and he has answered that in the letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So any questions, comments out there? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Where are we at here? Building permit reports for July 2025. Do we have a motion to accept this? Councillor Dubowski, Councillor Elliott, questions, comments about them? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Land development request time extension for 2449 Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay is all over tonight. Can you give us a little rundown on just this one, Richard, just so everybody's clear what we're requesting here?
Sure. Thank you, Your Worship. About a year ago, we sold a lot to a prospective landowner. That would be the west side of Hawke's Bay, the most southerly lot that's undeveloped. And the landowner has been working on their designs, and they were ready to start construction of a house this summer, but their contractor got ill. And they're not, and I share this view, I'm not really open to them digging a basement hole and leaving a hole there all winter long. So they've asked if they could have a time extension. And if we were to grant one till next spring, that would give them a full construction season to complete their house. They've done a lot of work on their design already.
Okay. And there's nobody waiting in line for this?
No.
Okay, excellent. Councillor Valiza?
Recognizing the time, effort, and emotions that go into building a home, I think it's necessary for council to follow Richard's recommendation and align the deadline for a building permit to March 15th of 2026 and construction to commence in the spring of 2026.
Okay, do I have a seconder of that? Councillor Verova, questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Land development, Howard Street lease proposal. Since you're there, can you give us a rundown of what this one's about?
Thanks, Your Worship. I had one call come in from 34 Howard Street, that business. And if you check at the air photo that's attached here, there's a 40-some-odd acre property south of there that's owned by the city that has got a fair amount of junks piled around it, and there's actually a waste dump there now as well. But this landowner had inquired if they could lease a small portion as detailed on your attached map. That's been used for a few decades now as a transportation access into their property at 34 Howard. Then, just as I was writing the report for the council meeting last week, I got a call from another business saying they would like to lease the remainder of that property and might even be interested in working out some kind of arrangement with the city where they would clean up some of the mess that was left there from the previous developer that was in there. And so at this point, I'm asking if council could authorize administration to get into negotiation for a for a lease on those properties.
Excellent, thanks for that. Do we have a motion to accept the request? Councillor Johnson?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, seconded by? Councillor Elliott? Questions, comments at this time? Councillor Johnson?
Mayor Cernick, it appears like now we have two companies that are interested in this parcel, and what it actually means is we're probably going to have to draft up 2 lease agreements with the conditions and the amounts that we're going to seek for, for payment. And also, if we can put in there, you know, some riders like when the lease is expired or terminated, that we need to inspect these properties so that we don't have a lot of waste and it's not a dump site, left equipment, things like this. And should be falling back on those property owners to clean the place up when they turn it back to us.
Some sort of exit clause for sure, right?
So I'd like to see that come back to City Council, City Manager, with all those mentions in it, please.
I see Richard writing that down, so.
Thank you.
Excellent.
If I may, Your Worship, all lease agreements of this nature require the mayor's and the city clerk's signature. So, yes, you'll have a kick at the cat there again when drafting agreements.
Okay, excellent. Any more questions, comments out there about these? All in favor? Carried. Where are we at? So land development biomass subdivision. We're just looking for a time extension. Everything's been approved in this, rezoned, everything, just we're looking for a time extension on this one. Sorry, Richard, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. The zoning is in place and the time extension is just for the subdivision portion. They're waiting on the province still.
Yeah, and I've had discussions with this company, and yeah, they're in limbo right now, waiting for government approval for sure. So it's nice that we have a project sitting there somebody wanting to develop something, and our lovely government holding it up. So we'll just leave it at that. Up next, we have land development, North Wellick Road development proposed. So, sorry, do we have a motion to extend the biomass? Councillor Mouse, Councillor Dabowski, seconded by. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Up next is the North Wellick Road development proposed site. We need to accept this motion to move into the public hearing, correct, City Clerk?
Correct.
Okay, do you want to just comment on it quick, Richard, or anything? Are you good?
I believe everyone on council has my reports. Whether you want me to highlight them or read them verbatim, I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, it's available out there. There's a lot in this report. It kind of just goes over everything that's been asked and some solutions and answers to questions and stuff like that, but we can get into it more. Up next, we will have the public hearing. So this hearing will be conducted in the following manner. Each person wishing to speak, you'll be given 10 minutes to speak. Before speaking, give us your full name and community you live in. Estevan's fine, don't have to get into specifics. Council members will be given the opportunity to ask presenters questions. So under consideration of Land Development Bylaw 2025-2099 to regulate zoning on North Wellick Road. Is there anyone in the gallery who wishes to address council on this proposed land development services report on regulating the use of land on Drader Street? If you'd like to speak on it, now's your time to come on up. Doesn't matter who.
Not Drader.
Did I say Drader Street? Wellick Road, that's why, all right. That was from the last meeting. Sorry about that, little typo.
Yes,
So-
I'd like to address council. If it is going to go to a vote, I'd like Councillor,
Oh, sorry.
oh, can you hear me? You can
Need
hear
the
me
microphone, sir. Oh,
Okay.
that's good. You gotta say your full name and where you're from.
I'm Dave Damon. I live in Estevan.
Okay.
So if this is going to go to a vote, I would ask that Councillor Walliser recuse herself for personal conflict of interest. Just because I think she's got way more than everybody knows going on. Anyway, that's all I needed to say. Aside from way too many issues to get into. I moved into that area with the promise of 25 more housing, single houses going in, not a big residential area for whatever it is they're building.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to see more pictures on this, or a little more of a scale on the development, not just come in and say, oh, these are high-end rentals.
Yeah.
Because I don't think SRI has put any high-end rentals in this town yet, or anywhere for that matter.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see a little more of that before anybody decides that this is going to be a go-ahead project.
Okay. And that's where tonight is actually just strictly about rezoning. And then the actual approval of the project, as Richard stated earlier, is that comes down the line further and further. Again, just the first stage would be just rezoning. And then
But this, and again, rezoning.
I get you. Thank you for that, Dave. Thanks for coming in. Anybody else wishing to speak on Wellick Road? Come on up.
My name's Stephen Truman. I'm from Estevan.
Thank you for coming tonight, Stephen.
Thank you, Council, for the time. I guess I would ask Council if everyone's familiar with the City of Estevan official community plan bylaw that was ratified by the last council. And if not, I'd recommend everyone familiarize themselves with that bylaw. It was signed into law in July 2021, and it's an excellent document. Obviously, the previous council put a lot of time and resources into that document. Rezoning R1 where it's currently on Wellick Road, and changing that to R4 seems to have, I don't know, it seems to contradict what is stated in the current official community plan. Everyone in that community, I think, like was already stated by some of the Councillor Verobas comments, either moved into that neighborhood or built in that neighborhood with the understanding that single family homes were going to surround the current homes in that community. Although we all know that we have a need for housing in the community, and we need to plan for the future, whether it's increasing the amount of available spaces for people coming in due to work, so on and so forth. I think there's definitely a feel in that community that with families, homes, or young families, children, that you want to maintain what you have in that community as far as that feel. Some added safety with having single family homes, or you get to know your neighbors. You're there, you build a relationship with everyone, so on. Yeah, I guess traffic and safety concerns were already gone over. We talked about that. I guess I would ask council about the availability of current R4 areas in the city, and why this seems to be the push for R4 when there are current areas in the city that are zoned for R4, if we think we need to increase in a short amount of time, have we looked at using the current R4 inventory before changing what is currently R1 to R4? If we look at the inventory of homes on the market that are less than 30 years old, I think it's very minimal, if any at all, that were built in the last 30 years. So I'm not sure about what we're being told about the affordability of current single-family dwellings and how accurate that is. I would also question the viability. Has council seen numbers on if single-family homes can be built and viable to be resold, or are we just trusting what developer A is telling everyone, per se, without having studies done and presented to everyone?
Okay, thank you for that. I don't, just myself, I can speak on that. Like, I've talked to lots of real estate agents in town, and you know, the need, there's a need for almost everything. We know boom times are coming, but at the same time, the vacancy rate on rental property is basically zero right now. And I even know that from, like, I call her, well, she's my daughter, but jokingly I call her my basement dweller, which finally moved out here recently. And they looked for months and months and months for property to rent, right? So there's just there's a need out there for sure. And like I say, personally myself, I've talked to realtors from all over. So getting that opinion. Any questions or comments for Mr. Truman? Councilor Leasy?
Thank you for coming tonight and raising your concerns. Certainly this isn't council's first time looking at how land use has changed, both right in our own neighborhoods, but also at the provincial and the national levels. So each year when City Council sends representatives on behalf of Estevan to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, we're there to meet with industry leaders from across Canada so that we aren't just seeing developer A, we're not just seeing what's happening in Estevan, but we're seeing what's happening in Estevan, what's causing it, how is it being managed successfully elsewhere. The demand for single-family homes outpaces the building rate nationwide. Construction costs, whether you're looking at commercial, industrial, or residential, have ballooned since COVID. And so being able to look at other presentations that talk about building sustainable communities, what has changed, how can we meet the need in a new way, has gone on long before just this proposal coming to council. Thank you.
I think another concern would be if once the vote goes, or if should the vote pass to change it to R4, like the comment was already made, then it's zoned R4. There's no going back. I assume. I don't know the specifics of that or how the legalities of that work, but we're going based on one development project to rezone an entire area that was set out as R1, and now voting on a rezoning based on one project proposal. So that would be a concern of mine.
Richard, can you touch base on that? Obviously, if it got changed to R4, it doesn't get approved from that point, it can be changed back to R1. Is that correct or incorrect?
Yes, Your Worship. Council could rezone it to a different district again. You could zone it to park if you wanted to. If council makes a decision like that in the future, and it's a well thought out decision, there's also protections in the Planning and Development Act with regards to compensation as well. So yes, if you have a good foundation to change it again at a different date, you just have to go through this process, that's all.
For sure, but it could be changed back to R1. Correct?
Yes, it could.
Okay, thank you for that. Councilor Robert?
Thank you, Your Worship. So, Richard, when you say compensation under the Act, are you saying the city would go back to the developer for compensation? Or if we change it over to the R4, are you saying the developer could come to the city for compensation for the money they put into the development and then we turn it down?
Yeah, if it was to be argued that by having it at R4 and then putting it back to R2 or R1, that would have a negative impact on the value of that property for its development potential, yeah, then it would be potentially the developer asking for compensation from the community, right? But there are protections in the Planning and Development Act for that.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Any more questions, comments out there for Mr. Truman or Richard? Councillor Johnson?
So with some of these requirements, Richard, that may be or should be, or are going to be talked about, imposed on the developer. And I'm looking at, let's say, if it's going to be the traffic study and the lane even in the back, and how that's going to be constructed. Is there going to be another point of entry on Sister Roddy Road, or is it going to be just one entrance into that back lane? Not sure. Don't know yet. Haven't seen anything yet. But all these things have to come into factor with the development and has to be discussed through the city. It's going to be brought to our attention. We're going to understand further of this project. Before the project starts, all of these things have to be hashed out and discussed with the developer. And if they add it up, because right now what they're looking at is they have a plan for a building on a piece of property, and we might have to have 3 properties or 3.5 properties to fit that in there. You mentioned that. So when it comes to be that these developers would like to, I guess, put all the money that they're going to be investing in this project together, and if they weigh it down and they say to themselves, it's getting to be too costly before they start, they can come back to us and say, we're not interested in it anymore. Is that correct? And then we can go back and take a look at it and turn it back to an R1 development. Is that what I'm hearing correctly here? If it makes it so it becomes too costly, because they have a ceiling that what they want to achieve, $1,800 to $2,000 per door, right? Now, tonight was mentioned where they want to take all of the entrances and put them around to the back. That's another change to this facility that I don't think they have a cost on yet, but they have to think about those costs. And getting into the back lane is going to be another question that was mentioned tonight, how they're going to do it, and with the snow removal and all those other things. When they weigh in all these costs, can they come back to you and say it's cost prohibited to try to develop this area? And water table was mentioned tonight. The water table there, it's high. We all know that it's high. Storm drainage, sewer lines, all of these things come into factor. Another question I have, and we talked about the sewer lines, they're all serviced along there on the north side of Wellick Road for 25 sewer connections. What about on the south side where we're building the pebbles to rocks in those properties there? Are they all serviced with sewer lines too? And in Hawke's Bay? Yeah. And just saying, if we have this big boom that we're talking about and envisioning happening here in Estevan, what if everybody comes in next year and wants to build, or in 2 years, and fills up all those lots, and we still are trying to work out a trunk line down to the wastewater treatment plant? Are we able to still facilitate a north development on Wellick Road with these multiplexes, something in between Pebbles to Rocks and Hawke's Bay and all that other stuff, to go into the sewer system without having complications on Newcomb Drive, Irvin Crescent, where I live? Because I don't want to be able to come back to the city and say, hey, we're having sewer issues over there because we've taxed it too heavily. So I have all these concerns that are being brought up, that I've talked to people about, that I'm trying to address. Traffic control is another one. I need to see the report on that. So, all good things, but if these things come back to the developer, the land developer, and we're aware of them, you're aware of them, we have to be noted of that, and we have to have special meetings on that, and we have to have a special meeting with the developer on that. So I think this project is moving along fairly fast, maybe too fast for my liking, but there's a lot of things that need to be addressed here and talked about. And a lot of answers that we're trying to achieve here. I don't think it's all going to happen here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councilor Verba?
Thank you, Worship. So yeah, Richard, something else that came up, and I believe it came up on that Friday night at the presentation that Sector 1 held, is tanks. So when we talk about holding tanks, that concerns me. It says right in our official community plan that we don't encourage tanks. We don't want tanks. We want the trunk line, right? So when we start talking about tanks and then sucking them out in the middle of the night or whatever they were saying, like, I don't understand why we'd even talk like that. We would want the trunk line. So if you could just maybe enhance that so that we can squash that rumor then?
Sure, I could. Thank you, Councillor. With regards to that, that is regarded as an interim solution. City roads and city water, wastewater, my department, city manager, city engineering have all worked it out. It's been done before. It's not an individual holding tank on each house. It would be city infrastructure. And basically, the whole theory behind it, and I found out afterwards for the city manager, the east end of Regina, where the Costco is on that. It's a very sophisticated system, but they're doing that. And what happens is sewer generation, you have a peak flow in the morning when people are getting ready to go to work. And then you have a peak flow at supper time and what have you. But when unless you're like triple overtime in the Stanley Cup Finals, typically from between 1 and 5 in the morning, there's almost no sewage being generated. So you have a storage facility that would collect the sewage during the day when the lines are full, but when the lines are not full, it would then pump into those lines. And so you're making a lot more efficient use of existing infrastructure. City Regina's doing it, I'm told. When I was working in private sector, we did that as well. So that's what it would be. It wouldn't be each dwelling having its own private holding tank.
Yeah, no, I knew it wouldn't be each individual, but in the same breath, the hospital's there, and we have issues in other of the areas where we have low water flow or we have issues with people complaining. So I would just hate to see us do something like this without ensuring that it could handle the 168 people with a hospital right there.
And that's we as civil engineering design. I'm not able to talk on that topic more than the concept. Sorry.
Any other questions or comments out there thank you for coming tonight, Mr. Truman, for your words. Richard, thank you again.
Address council.
Josh, could you hear us?
Jay, I hope everybody got it and had a chance to read it. I don't have anything beyond that, except that I would like to bring all of council's attention, and specifically Councillor Walezer's attention, to a memorandum from the Saskatchewan Ombudsman regarding conflicts of interest. I did forward that to Councillor Walezer and Councillor Cernick just 2 or 3 minutes ago. I'm not sure if you guys have access to that right now, but I would ask that that be reviewed by them before the second reading. Just stated openly here that the report states that a conflict of interest happens when your public duties conflict with your private interest or the private interests of people close to you, such as family member, close friend, business partner, or your employer. Conflicts of interest can involve financial interests or personal interests. It's come to my attention that Councillor Walezer and Justin Nixon, one of the owners of Sector 1, are close friends, and I feel that that is a conflict of interest as outlined by this memorandum from the Saskatchewan Ombudsman. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Josh. We got that. So just to let you know. Do we want to comment on this at this time? No. Okay. Thank you for that, Josh. That is something that we'll definitely be looking into. As far as the public hearing, this is kind of second call and last call. Is there anyone in the gallery who wishes to come forward? Come on up. Again, just state your full name, and I think we know you're from Estevan. make sure you turn the mic on there.
So my name is Corey Casemore. I'm a resident of Estevan, Saskatchewan. I'm just getting my computer loaded up here because I wasn't able to print this. All right, so good evening. My name is, as I said, is Corey Casemore. I'm here today to voice my opposition to bylaw 2025-2099, which proposes the rezoning of serviced R1 land into high-density R4 zoning to allow for approximately 84 units, I guess is what it is. I had the numbers wrong on the total units being built. In my opinion, this proposal undermines the official community plan, and the reasons for that is the official community plan promotes staged, predictable development and maintaining neighborhood character. Rezoning land before nearby R3, R4 zones are developed contradicts this strategy. As far as the developer making claims about it's not economical to put single detached homes in that area, and particularly that they've made comments today that state that this area, once they complete this phase development, they'll be able to develop the remaining lots into R1 single detached homes. That contradicts the theory of that contradicts logic, because why should this have to go through in order for those other lots to be developed? I understand some of the constraints that are impacting this decision. One of the big ones is the trunk line. And from a city perspective, I get that these apartment complexes are going to bring some tax revenue to the area. I don't disagree with that. I think that these need to go into place. One of the things that I get really concerned with is the lack of control the city has over these larger complexes when they're sold. You see it in every community. Private equity buys up these rental units and scrapes them for every bit of profit and doesn't invest into these properties. And I spoke with Councillor Walliser about this, and she brought up some great points that we need as a community, some stopgaps to control these. Something that the council can go and hold these property owners to account. And what I find troubling, though, even in the midst of this, we currently don't have, maybe we do have these, but it doesn't seem to be exercised in a form that's in the best interest of the community. We can look at those Bannatyne apartments, I believe they're called. I've been in them with helping out Ukrainian families relocated to the community. And quite frankly, the disarray that they're in are appalling. The amount of infestations of bed bugs, cockroaches, or just people not keeping them in a manner that's safe to live in. It's terrible. It's changed over hands 3 or 4 times in the last, I don't know how many years. I'm going to argue in the last 10 years. I could be wrong. But the point is what I'm trying to get at is, while there is an agreement in place for this to be managed for the next 10 years, what happens after that 10 years? How does council control if there's going to be 4 people in those units or not? You can't beyond that point. At least my understanding is you can't. But again, just kind of going back to the comment on should this development move forward or not, I don't think council has enough information to make a decision to rezone. How can you make a decision to rezone and then backtrack later on? It kind of feels like you're leapfrogging, like you're going to the R4 and then potentially going back to R1 if you can't seem to get the developer and their project pushed forward.
Just to step in for a second, if we don't rezone it, you're not going to get those answers to those questions. The only way to get the answers to those questions is rezone it.
Okay,
and then it moves forward. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I appreciate that. The fact of the matter is there is already that zone, there is already R3 and R4 zoning within that project now. Land development has talked about tanks to hold sewage. So why wouldn't we look at an opportunity to tie those into either A, the existing until you get in that tank storage, or just simply look at what the cost would be to deal with that storage tank? If we're going to need it anyways, why don't we look to try and work with this developer to put it in the place that it's supposed to be and tie into those zoning? I just don't see the logic behind, well, we can't, it's not economical to put houses in that area that's already built for it. I've already addressed my next comment with this. In my opinion, council should hold the line on the original plan and use of existing land first. The proposed changes will dramatically impact the neighborhood character. And the reason I say this is it was envisioned that this region would be ownership-based single-family homes, and it's being significantly changed in that regard. You're going to inject the 84 potential units into a pocket of area that was zoned for R1, which impacts the traffic, the cohesion, and the safety. Think about if there are little children, and there's a really nice park that I want to see those children potentially use, but how are we addressing that? And that would be addressed with the traffic, I'm assuming, the traffic assessment and whatnot. But the point is this is a logical concern. And to my point, there has been no true consultation. Yes, we've had some meetings, but there has been no true consultation for this. And what I mean by that is if we're changing the community plan, there should be a full community plan redeveloped in order for council to really be considering this. Because maybe I'm wrong on this, but that Meadows development was zoned or proposed and then zoned at the time of proposal, so to speak, roughly speaking. So why would we consider looking at spot zoning, as I'll refer to it as, when realistically there should be, if there's an adjustment to that community plan, it should show what that adjustment is. The official community plan, while it isn't necessarily, it wasn't developed during the time the Meadows was proposed and zoned, it still has implications on any changes. It still has implications on what we're discussing here today. So I go back and I say that while we are here today, we are doing some consultation, we are having meaningful conversations. These meaningful conversations should have some significant weight. And I believe they need to continue. Okay. In my opinion, this decision, the second reading, should be delayed until you have some further information. There maybe is a second consultation, public hearing, because let's face it, it was during the long weekend, Friday of a long weekend, and we're looking to move things forward. And I understand the contractor's timeline, but this is a big decision that impacts a lot of people. And when you have big decisions that impact a lot of people, we should be respectful of the time, and we shouldn't rush things through. Estevan has had a habit of changing where things go, and it just we got dirt roads in the city that create dust for many businesses and homes. We have commercial and industrial that are mixed right closely to residential. And I believe we got an official community plan that gives us the principles to make decisions. As a council, as a community, as someone from an outside coming in and looking at Estevan, is this a good fit for me? So I believe that we should be utilizing that as the key principles to make the decision of how we're going to move forward. In the absence of that, we're throwing out work that has been done and a lot of resources that have been put into it. And then we're not respecting the community or the principles of what we stand by. I'm losing my point here.
Just a few more minutes there, Corey.
Yep. So as I mentioned, the rezoning is a new planning decision, and all such decisions, I believe, must be evaluated under the current OCP. official community plan. The official community plan applies to citywide and is intended to guide the development in all neighborhoods, new and old. Ignoring the official community plan here risks turning it into a suggestion rather than a binding framework. I do thank you for your time. In closing, I ask council to respect the original neighborhood vision, follow the official community plan, and decline bylaw 2025-2099. Thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thanks for coming in and sharing that for sure, Corey. Yeah, so do we have any questions, comments for Mr. Casemo on this? Councillor Mouse?
Thank you, Mayor Cernick. Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Meadows, that's part north of Wellick Road, was considered back in the day, whenever that was 2011, I believe, a new subdivision, a new neighborhood. And it was, I think, originally planned R1 along Wellick Road, and I believe R2, R4 behind, north of that.
I do believe that.
There's commercial retail in the original planning, and there's even a trailer park in the original planning.
I do believe so, yeah.
For me?
I do believe that was the case.
Yeah, I think that's the way it was originally planned, and it was considered a completely new neighborhood.
Correct.
Just as a comment or as a refresher for everyone, also leaving all of that R1 along Wellick Road, the price of those lots is so high, and this is from the private company, from the development company. It makes it very restrictive, I believe, if you want to put up a single family home. It's going to get really expensive, right? At $125,000 a lot. Just as a comment on my side.
Okay, can I comment on that?
You bet.
Okay, so again, going back to the official community plan and the community as a whole, making a decision on a bylaw should not be determined based off of a single developer's decision to price a lot, in my opinion, and not adjust a market price. If there, in real estate, it is a risky business, and you take big risks, you take big gambles, sometimes you swing and miss, sometimes you swing and hit a home run. It's a fact of real estate. How many people have my wife bought a home in Peterson Point condos, $190,000. Guess how much a single bedroom condo in Peterson Point condos goes for now? $90,000. You know, so I will make one comment again. I missed this point. It was is in regards to the flux of people who might be coming during the boom time. The boom time brought those condos, brought a lot of development, but then those condos they were sky high and then they plummeted. Being in the oil field business, in the past, I've stayed at many different kinds of camps, so to speak. Should we not be looking at, if we're concerned about short-term solutions, shouldn't we be looking at short-term solutions to house some of those folks that will be coming now? Perhaps Trimount will build, and I think in the report that I read said that there was someone looking to continue building that development, possibly. I'm not sure. But my point is that having a developer come and wanting to switch the zoning because they're not willing to adjust their price doesn't make a lot of sense. The price for the other lots, are they going to be the same? Or are they going to be different? I don't really know. I can't answer that question.
And you're getting into things that are out of control of the city. Like, the city's not in the development business. The city tried to be in the development business, and guess what? We ended up $30 million in debt.
Yeah, I'm not asking the city to be in the development business.
You're asking for government overreach, which is not what the city is about, and prepared to go into debt again over something like that.
Respectfully, Mayor Cernick, I'm not asking the city to go into development. What I am saying is that if we're considering a rezoning based off of a developer's decision to price themselves out of the market, that's not your job either, to rezone because they can't afford to drop the price, to change the community plan because it's a developer's inadequacy to understand the market and respect the market.
And it's the developer's plan change where, you know what I mean?
But that's not the city's job to change.
Well, when opportunities arise, you have to make decisions based on the city as a whole.
I will respectfully disagree with you.
Okay? Any
Is there
other
any
questions, comments from Mr. Casemore? Councillor Dubowski?
Thank you, Your Worship. So there's a lot of talk about what's going to happen to the apartments after 10 years. You know, Bannatyne being in disrepair and all these other things. And it always comes back to put them where R4 is zoned currently or where it's supposed to be zoned instead of on the street. And I still am having troubles understanding why rezoning this is the issue that it is, because the apartments are being seen as like this big issue point, but if you build them where they're supposed to be, they're going to be right there anyway. They're not going to be that much farther from the R1, the current R1 zoning anyway. So I don't think a lot of the points about the apartments being the issue are necessarily the biggest topics. I guess I'm just still struggling to understand why, and maybe you can explain this better, why changing from R1 to R4 when it's only a few meters away currently is the big concern that it is.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but are the apartments not more than a few meters away? Is there not supposed to be buffer zones between R1 to R4? And how far would that be it?
Just to answer it. So just behind that front level of the R1, there would be a small buffer zone. There's park areas, but there is high density R4 right behind those front lots.
Yeah, would we be like, would you consider that similar to where North Point condos are, where they have the row house, the townhouses, and then there's a park, and then you have single detached homes?
Yeah, I'd have to go take another look at that, Corey.
But the same concept is what I'm asking? Yeah. So again, like going back to the official community plan, that buffer is kind of where my mindset goes. And again, I say the council has a big decision to make. And I believe that you need to look at the official community plan, understand what those key principles are, and apply it to your decision. That's all I can ask for.
Thank you for that. Oh, sorry, Councilor Roebuck.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to say, one of the biggest things I heard Councilor Dubowski when I was speaking with the people in that area is aesthetics. It is aesthetically not pleasing for them to look over and see a bunch of rental properties. What they're looking at is they would like what they were promised when they bought the lots to build their homes, the single detached homes facing Wellick. It gives the neighborhood the same feel that they thought that they were moving into, what they thought they were building into, and aesthetically they don't want to see those high density homes there. If it's pushed back the 100 meters where they say they were going to build them, I haven't heard anyone complain about that. What they're saying is, don't put them right on Wellick. We have a daycare going there, we're going to have increased traffic. We've already got, it's the 25 homes. Push it back, do it the way you said you were going to do your development, get the development started. I mean, I've even heard people saying, again, I don't want to talk about what the developer could do or whatever. There's lots of different ideas out there. This isn't where they need to just lay their hat and let it lie. Just not right on Wellick Road. That's what everyone is saying, aesthetically not pleasing to look at.
Thank you for that. Councilor Johnson?
Mayor Cernick, also to that point, if you take a look, it's not just one or two of these units. It's the whole darn roadway, all the way from Sister Roddy Road, all the way down to Irvine Crescent. So it's a long run. It's a lot of housing. It's a lot of apartments. It's not just one or two. It's a lot of apartments. It's a big impact on Wellick Road. It could be to the point where we don't even know what these are going to look like for the design. We've got pictures here, but is that what it is? I don't know. And that's what the question is by a lot of the people that are sitting in the audience tonight. They're worried. They're concerned because they're going to be facing that and looking at that. And not only that, they're talking about moving it, we're talking about moving it 2 meters closer to the roadway in also the changes. So it gives them a little bit more room at the back for parking or for entrance. So big building, much closer. And yeah, I have concerns about the price that they're asking for rental as they're trying to fetch.
Again, this isn't our issue.
It isn't our issue.
Councillor Johnson.
But what's going to happen after years, when that's sitting there after 10 years with the price of rent, if they can't fetch that? Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Councillor Elliott.
I just want to understand a comment you made earlier. If our choices are just to outright vote it down or to vote for it and then get the answers later, is that correct?
You'll never know the answers to your questions if it doesn't get rezoned because nothing will happen.
So the developer wouldn't put the due diligence, like, I mean, in my mind, I think we'd be nuts to even vote on this tonight, but because there's so much more information that I would think as a developer I would want to have at the ready before I made a choice.
I would agree. There's lots of uncertainty out there right now.
Right. I guess. See, that's it. Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship.
Is that a motion for second reading? Just kidding. All right. So as far as the public hearing, if no, thank you for coming in. Last call. Last call. State your name and.
Yeah, Dakota Zimmerman, resident of Estevan. So just wanted to come up here. I won't repeat everything. Just want to kind of echo a few points. Like, in my opinion, community engagement has not been appropriate to me. We got the notice in our mailbox on 3 days prior on a Friday of a long weekend. I couldn't make it. I have questions. I'm sure all my questions on this list might have been answered or they could answer it, but I don't have answers. So how am I supposed to speak or approve something? So community engagement, kind of a second point, like to the developer, maybe not to city council, but a consideration, what efforts have been made in the 12 years that they've owned that properties to market them. I've lived there since 2016 in the area. The sign's been blown down. It floods every rain. There's weeds all over. Like, if you're driving by, do you want to buy a lot there? Like, just a question. Like, I think that's a big item. So yeah, kind of second point to that. A developer, everything's economics. They've had it for 12 years. Nothing's been done. So they're all right now, like, we don't have money. It's not financial sense to do it now. What about the last 12 years? RTMs, houses, they haven't always been expensive. They've had it for 12 years. A developer can raise money. They can finance. They could have bought RTMs and sold them no problem 5-10 years ago. So why now? Kind of a couple Q&A. All I have is Q&A answers from Facebook. Really generic answers, non-answers in my opinion. They state the architecture controls will match existing homes in the neighborhood. I would like to confirm what those neighborhood architectural controls are. Are they matching of Hawke's Bay? That's the only developed neighborhood in the area. So are they matching Hawke's Bay, or are they just a generic, they're gonna be premium and that's all we know? And what's the development plan? They want 7 or something, 12 plexes. Is that all built in the first year? Is that a 10-year plan and we're going to be living with construction for 10 years and as they finance a new unit? So just back to community engagement, I have no idea what the plan is and there's been no information provided whether or not we had to reach out or what, but they said they had been working on this change for 18 months and now all of a sudden it's importance when they had 18 months to kind of engage community, and it seems like everyone has questions and little answers, so. Yeah, in general, that's it. Just a little, I guess my last comment, sorry.
No, thanks for,
There's a lot of talk about we need funding for these to fund phase 2, but how likely is phase 2 to happen with them sitting on phase 1 for 12 years and now wanting to change the plan 2? So a lot of empty promises for that development, and we've been living with it for 12 years. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Just one statement on the this water and sewer, that's going to be happening regardless of this area. Of course, it services this area, but it will be needed for the nursing home, which is supposed to break ground. So
sorry, what I meant
this is infrastructure, the city side of things, what we can control. Which, again, I don't know if it'll be in next year's budget or the budget after that, but you're going to be seeing this whether there's development at the Meadows or not. It's coming in for the nursing home.
Yeah, sorry, what I meant by water is standing water. Every time it rains, 3 of the lots are underwater, full of mosquitoes, and it's probably 2 feet, a foot under grade. So it's people driving by, is that where you want to buy a lot? You know your basement's going to flood if you're going to build there. And so just kind of that aspect, not for the development of water and sewer.
Yeah, again, and I'm not going to speak for the developer, but just it's going to continue to look like an empty lot until something gets developed.
Yep.
Right, so I do hear the concern, but again, it looks like that because it's undeveloped right now. So.
And kind of to speak to Matthew's question about why is it a big deal if there's houses here and apartments here? On the initial plan, it's houses and a big grass lot and then apartments or rentals, but there's also the infrastructure that comes with phase 2 originally with more roads, businesses, whatever. So it's not just having apartments sitting there. There's more developed to it, and it's further back and more of a community build out. But that's kind of all I had. Thanks.
Okay. Excellent. Any questions, Mr. Zimmer? Seeing none, I think we've kind of beat this one to death for tonight. So
thank you.
So again, last call for the public hearing. Thanks for stepping up, those that have stepped up. If you don't say anything, nothing gets heard. So, I worship the mayor, stern that there is no one present in the gallery who wish to address council anymore on this matter, so the public hearing here be adjourned. Did I do that right? Thank you for that, and again, thank you for coming. So again, I can't make motions, but I'm hearing a lot of uncertainty out there, and probably some more time on this would be considered. So we had our first reading on July 18th. It was advertised where it was needed to be. Developer held an open house, albeit on a Friday of a long weekend. But the first reading happened, so we're sitting at the second reading right now. What is the request of council? Councilor Leeser?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to take this time to address the concerns mentioned twice about the potential for a conflict of interest based on my friendship with one of the developers.
Okay.
I am familiar with the Code of Ethics and the Cities Act that identify not only what requires disclosure, but also that as a councillor, it is my job to conduct business in a way that is open and honest, that helps the community understand the rationale behind where my support lies or doesn't lie in a project. And I know that part of that job is if there's even the perception that a project is being influenced unduly by my role, that I have to recuse myself. So I will declare an interest, as I do have a friendship with the developer. I will abstain from voting on this reading, but also refraining from any further discussion. So that means whether it's in an open council meeting like this, or if the matter comes back to closed, I will again disclose the conflict and leave the room. But also, if community members have questions or concerns, they have to be brought up with other members of council. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councilor Leeser? Councilor Leeser is leaving the room. Chambers? Come in. Councilor Baroba?
I would like to make the recommendation that we do not rezone this property, and that we leave it in the current zoning.
Do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Councilor Johnson, any more questions, comments out there? Councilor Dubowski?
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess before Councilor Verhoeven made the recommendation, I was more concerned about just the information that we have as well as what the public has. I would have requested more time on this, but that's just my my current opinion on the matter is just to have a little more time to discuss, get the facts straight for everyone. But I guess there is a motion on the floor, but I just still wanted to voice my side on that.
Motion on the floor is to not rezone as R4. We had a seconder, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Verhoeven?
Just to speak on that, Councillor Dabrowski, is because from what I'm hearing today from our land development, Richard Newfield, we can't get any more information unless we rezone. So I'm not in favor of rezoning for the fact that I believe exactly what we talked about. Put the front row of houses in, even if they don't have the money right now to build them, then go ahead back to your stage 4. If it's the high density housing they want to get, then put it on there, just put it back. And so they may have to wait a bit until we get the trunk line in, or maybe we need to push the trunk line up. That's a whole nother discussion. But tonight, the discussion is just that front row of houses, that area, taking those 25 lots and rezoning. And so I'm not opposed to this high density housing going the 100 meters back and having it there, because I do believe that we need to have more rentals in Estevan. I don't think I'm in favor of the high priced ones, but in the same breath, if they can get that, then that's what the whole commercial and free enterprise is all about. So just that front row, I'm just not in favor of being rezoned. So that helps.
Okay, any more questions? Councillor Dabrowski?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one, I guess, kind of quick touch on it, because there was discussion earlier about these storage tanks for sewage where you suck them all out during the morning or whatever. If we have such a need for these higher density apartments, is it possible to have it built where the R4 is zoned and then have these storage tanks to back that up? Or do we still need to service water out there? Like how, I guess, could we still go with the motion that Councillor Verhoeven has put on the table with declining the rezoning? And if said developer wants to still go through with building these apartments, put it where R4 currently is and just have storage tanks for these if they deem this so necessary?
Again, that's not for us to decide right now. Again, the motion on the floor is to deny request to change rezoning. Wherever that goes, there can be more come up. Councillor Mouse?
I just have sort of a procedural question. Is it possible to do the second reading tonight and wait for more information before we do the third reading?
That could be a possibility if the first motion falls. So, questions, comments?
Can you, sorry, Brian, can you turn off the mic?
Oh.
Thank you. Thanks.
So again, no more questions, comments out there? So all in favor of the proposed motion? Councillor Verhoeven, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Elliott? All opposed? 3-3. What happens there? Motion falls?
Yours is negative.
What's that?
Yours is negative if it's a tie.
So the motion
Motion is lost.
Motion is lost. Do we have another motion on the floor? Councillor Mouse.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Cernak. I'd like to propose that we do the second reading this evening. And should that reading be accepted, that we get more information to go to the third reading another evening.
Excellent. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Dubowski. Questions, comments? Councillor Elliott.
Are we entering this circular phase where nothing passes now? If the votes stay the same, we just...
No, because basically I don't get a say.
Oh.
In a sense.
In a sense.
Because we need a quorum. Is that the right word? Correct. Councilor Verba.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I'm just curious how then, if earlier we were told it's either a yes or no question, that how if we enter into second reading, that we can now come back with more information?
City manager, any insight on that one? Oh, Richard, please come up and answer that question if you can. Are we allowed basically to get more information with second reading, or do we need second and third reading to acquire more information?
Second reading definitely should be restricted to information presented during the public hearing, right? You cannot make amendments to a bylaw after second reading's been given unless it's something that was previously discussed, potentially and preferably at the public hearing. So, but on the other hand, council knows from the past in bylaw proposals that were less controversial, we would put conditions on the zoning. So it would be subject to third reading plus this, that, and the other thing. One option that council could consider, and I also note that for second reading, council should deal with the front yard property setback reduction, which they've asked to be reduced to 5 meters, right? But what you can do as well is you could give second reading, and if the developer has a sufficient comfort level to proceed to the next steps, then you could theoretically at a later date do the subdivision with all those reports and the zoning proposal for third reading at that time.
City manager?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think another option we've done this before is just tabling this for more information to give any second or third reading. Then you can continue with any public consultation, open houses that the developer wants to do, or other options. And then that's tabled, that there's been no decision made on the second and third reading at this time.
So it gives the developer more time to come out and have maybe another open house, get more information out there prior to the second reading. Correct? Okay, Councilor Verba.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in other words, tabling it, yes, I'd rather see it tabled than see a second reading go forward tonight. So I would encourage everyone to vote against the second reading, and then it can be tabled, because there is a motion on the floor right now.
You have to vote on it. And you
Okay,
have to-
I think we know what we're gonna do here. So the motion on the floor, questions, comments? Okay, we'll go in favor of the motion
To allow for second reading?
to offer second reading. Or do second reading tonight is the motion.
Right.
And do
That is
third.
the motion right now, currently.
Yeah,
Unless Councillor,
I thought it got seconded.
The Councilor Dubowski seconded. Yeah, so we have a vote on that motion right now, so all in favor?
unless he wants to change his motion.
Unless you want to amend your motion before.
I'd like to amend the motion and say we table this and get more information.
Allow the developer to.
Allow the developer to give more information, allow the people to be better informed, and that we table the second and third reading to another meeting.
Love it. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councilor Johnson.
I'll definitely second that.
Questions, comments? Let's put this. Councilor Verba.
So now that we've tabled it, if there's more information that comes forward, are we gonna have another open hearing where people are allowed to come forward with more information or more questions, or are we done with the open hearings?
I don't know the answer to that. I would definitely love to have another one. Richard?
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. If information comes forward that you would like to incorporate into your decision-making as part of second and third reading, and that's information that was presented during this hearing, yes, I would definitely recommend a second public hearing be held at that point. That would be the proper way to deal with things. It's very minor cost to the municipality in the scheme of things. Not a problem.
Yeah, and hopefully answers more questions that were out there tonight. So, questions, comments? We're all good, all in favor? We will see you September the 8th. And then the developer will be obviously informed to hopefully have more open discussions, open houses, if you will, and try to answer more questions before council votes on this September the 8th. So, thank you all for coming in tonight. That one is gone. We are at inquiries finally. Councilor Verova.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had a few inquiries. A lot of them are regarding bylaw. 400 block of 3rd Street, there was a house there that's not secure. There was weeds growing. And I just encourage anyone that does have a home in their neighborhood that does not look secure but does not look lived in to please call it into bylaw. Just let us know and they'll send someone out to go and check it out. Also, I had a couple of calls in the last week or so regarding panhandling in the city, and people are discouraged by seeing that, but I've encouraged them to phone it in as well. It is, there is a bylaw in the city of Estevan that it is illegal to panhandle in the city. So if you see that, please do not encourage it and please call it in, and the city will, police will go there. And we also have the PAC team. So again, I'm not sure exactly how that operates, but I do know that we have resources. The Community Wellness Committee also has resource cards. We have resources for people who need assistance. So if someone's panhandling, more than likely they need some help and they need assistance. So we'd like to get them that assistance versus encouraging that kind of behavior. Also, the vacant lot on Larder Road, I had some concern regarding foxtail weed. That also was taken care of through bylaw. And finally, for some great news, Creighton Lodge on Wednesday, August 13th at 11:30 to 1 p.m. is having a fundraising barbecue put on by the Hub Insurance. It's $5 for a burger, a bag of chips, and a pop. The proceeds will go to Creighton Lodge. And also, I heard there's a bit of a check presentation from one of the insurance companies that night. So I don't want to give away too much information. I said night, but I meant 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. So it's in the afternoon. All are welcome. We're not going to have tables set up, but we will have some chairs. So it's more or less a drive-by kind of deal. You can come on by, get your burger, and pay $5 and support a great cause. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councilor Verova.
Yes, that's everything I have.
Councilor Mouse.
Nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's pursuant to the barbecue at Creighton, which I plan to attend, there's Friday in front of, it's the embroidery shop, Sunset Embroidery, is that the name of it? And that one's benefiting the dogs and cats down in the valley there.
Humane Society.
Humane Society, that's right, the Humane Society.
Is that Friday or Wednesday, Councilor Elliott?
I thought that was, well, that might be Wednesday too.
Quote me to that, but
I might have
We'll
two
look into
barbecues to attend.
You guys can both, we'll all go to 2 burgers.
Yeah, 2 burgers.
I did that on Friday.
Play burgers.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you for that. City Treasurer,
Nothing, Your Worship.
Assistant City Clerk, Josh.
Nothing, Your Worship.
Councilor Dubowski.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to say, although I wasn't able to make the event for Braden Bahal, unfortunately, I did see pictures of the sign, so I just want to congratulate him on that achievement and having a memorial sign dedicated to him in Affinity. So congratulations to Braden on that.
Yeah, I was in attendance and we've got a little tear out of him, so that's what we like to see for sure. Lets you know that it means a lot. Councilor Johnson.
Yes, Mayor Cernick, I'd like to just pass along a big thank you to the new bylaw control officer. He's really doing a good job in the community. It seems like all of these concerns that we bring forward and pass on to the city manager and through your office, city manager, a lot of those concerns I notice have been addressed in the community, and it really gives me pride to think that, you know, these things are finally, you know, moving along, getting handled, getting addressed. So give him a big pat on the back and thank you. Now I'd like to turn the tables a little bit, city manager, just with 4th Street, okay? And I went on to 4th Street yesterday and I took some pictures. Some of them are very, very good pictures, and we'll have to sit down and talk about some of these snapshots that I've got to discuss with you about some of that work that's going on out there. But if we could, please, just the tree standard big, I'm going to say square formations that they have there where the trees are going in, if we could just go down the street starting at City Hall corner here and pick all the weeds that are all the way down the street on those 3 or 4 blocks it's getting to be to the point where they're as high as my chest in some places. And I've already been asked, is that the new trees that we're planning to put in? And I have to say, no, that's not the new trees that we've ordered. Sorry, it's not the new shrubs, but it is to get to be quite a bit. And also, I think it's almost high time that we start to think about putting dumpsters on those blocks that are open for people right now, because not only are the weeds growing in those large areas, those containers that are in the sidewalk, but people are throwing all their garbage in there right now. So you get drink cups in there, bags in there, cigarette butts, and it's just getting littered like you wouldn't believe. And if we don't have garbages along the street there, I've witnessed it. The city has business owners going out there and picking the garbage up in front of their building and bringing it into their building and putting it in their own disposal, which I don't think we need to have that happening. But I do see it, and I did witness that yesterday. So those are my inquiries, and if you could follow up on that. And I'll definitely follow up on the pictures that I did take, and that's something that you can take up with your meeting when you have that meeting with that group, and ask them what needs to be done here, okay? Thank you very much, City Manager. Thanks.
Just on that note, I've had inquiries about the downtown as well, and I just do want to the public, to council, to everybody watching, it's still a construction zone, don't forget. Although it doesn't look like it in some cases, it's open to the public. Garbage cans are a good idea for sure, but just to remember that it is still a construction zone, and treat it with safety, be as safe as you can for sure. Councillor Valizer.
Thank you, Your Worship. No inquiries, but two important events coming up for members of the community. We do have Coffee with Council, which was a new initiative this term, specifically to create that opportunity for informal connection. What we had heard from the community was most people don't feel comfortable coming to a public event like this. People don't want to bother council when it looks like they're out with their family or on personal time, but they also want somewhere safe to bring those questions when they have them, and that's what Coffee with Council provides. And so this Friday from 10 until 12 at the Estevan Public Library, City Council will bring the coffee. We're hoping to discuss infrastructure and city planning, helping community members talk about what are the building blocks of our community, how do we look at asset management, but really any questions are welcome. If somebody has a burning topic they'd like to discuss, there'll be councillors and staff there to answer those questions. Also, with eyes to the fall, citywide registration is coming, and I think it's coming sooner than the community expects. It is the last Wednesday of the month, I believe, and many of the activities available this fall, not just for kids. I think a lot of community members remember standing in line with a checkbook in hand registering their kids. It's evolved. Now there's opportunities to learn about recreation and socialization opportunities across the lifespan within our community. So if people know of a program that they'd like to see, that's a good place to meet other like-minded people and to put it in your calendar. Thanks.
Thank you for that. City Manager?
Nothing to add, Your Worship.
City Clerk?
Nothing.
And yeah, all I have to add is get out to all these barbecues, these fundraisers. There's so many things going on in our little city that there's too many things to do. You don't hear that very often. So do we have a motion to move into committee? Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Mouse. All in favor? We stand adjourned.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today